Sweetheart, you couldn't even manage a bake sale. Evan's words hung in the air of our dining room, followed by the loud laughter of his friends around the table. I had just told them about my idea, a small marketing consultancy, something modest, something mine. His friend Marcus slapped the table, doubled over. Clara running a business, that's rich. I forced my lips into a smile, the kind I'd perfected over 7 years of marriage. But something inside me, something quiet and patient, finally cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a clean break like ice splitting beneath weight. I picked up my wine glass and took a sip, letting them enjoy their joke. They had no idea what was coming. Later that night, I lay beside Evan in our king-sized bed, staring at the ceiling while he typed on his phone. The screen lit his face in blue light. He was smiling, the kind of smile he used to give me. "Who are you texting?" I asked softly. "Just work stuff," he said, not looking up. But I saw the name before he locked the screen. Sophie. My chest tightened, but I didn't say anything. Not yet. Instead, I turned over and pretended to sleep while my mind raced through possibilities I didn't want to believe. The next morning, I made Evan his usual coffee, black, 2 sugars, and kissed his cheek as he left for his tech startup office. He barely noticed. After he left, I opened his laptop. He'd forgotten to log out of his social media. I told myself I was being paranoid as I scrolled through his messages. Then I saw them. Months of messages between Evan and Sophie. Nothing explicit, but the tone was wrong. Too familiar. Too warm. She called him E, he sent her heart emojis. My hands shook as I took screenshots and emailed them to myself. Then I deleted the sent folder and closed the laptop, positioning it exactly as he'd left it. 2 weeks later, Evan's company threw a party to celebrate landing a new investor. I wore my navy dress, the one Evan had once said made me look elegant. Sophie arrived in the same color. Navy blue, form-fitting, confident. She walked straight to Evan, touching his arm as she laughed at something he said. "Clara," Evan called me over. "This is Sophie, our new creative director. Sophie, this is my wife." "Your muse, actually," Sophie corrected with a bright smile, looking only at him. "That's what you called me, remember?" The room chuckled. I felt my face burn but kept my expression neutral. I shook her hand firmly, meeting her eyes. "Lovely to meet you," I said. I didn't cry at the party. I didn't cry in the car either. But when I pulled into the parking lot of an all-night cafe instead of driving home, the tears finally came. I sat there for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, letting myself break down where no one could see. Then I dried my eyes, walked inside, and ordered black coffee. I pulled out a napkin and started writing, business names, service ideas, target clients. By the time I left at 2 in the morning, I had the skeleton of a plan. If Evan thought I couldn't build something, I'd prove him wrong. The next day, I opened a new bank account at a different branch across town. I deposited $300 from my freelance graphic design work, money Evan didn't know about. Over the next few weeks, I funneled every small payment there. $50 here, $100 there. Each deposit felt like taking back a piece of myself that I'd handed over without realizing. I named the account Luna, after my grandmother, who'd started a bakery with nothing but determination and flour. Evan never noticed the money was gone. He never asked about my freelance work. He was too busy texting Sophie. One Thursday evening, Evan came home 3 hours late. He smelled like perfume, sweet and floral, nothing like what I wore. "Long meeting," he muttered, heading straight for the shower. While the water ran, I checked his jacket pockets. 2 receipts, dinner at Bellissimo, the expensive Italian place downtown, both meals detailed, both wines listed. I photographed them and added them to a folder on my cloud storage labeled Tax Documents 2023. Evan never checked my organizational systems. He thought I was boring that way. I was counting on it. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I started documenting everything, every late night, every suspicious charge on our joint credit card, every text I could glimpse before he locked his phone. I bought a small recorder and started capturing our conversations, especially when he talked about finances or made promises about our future. My divorce attorney friend from college had once told me the key to winning difficult cases: preparation. So I prepared, quietly, carefully, while playing the role of the supportive wife who believed his lies. I think I'm going to register Luna Strategies as an LLC, I mentioned one Saturday morning over breakfast. Evan looked up from his phone, smirked, and shook his head. You're wasting your time, Clara. Leave the real work to people who know what they're doing. You're probably right, I said softly, buttering my toast. What I didn't tell him was that I'd already registered the company, or that I'd signed my first client 2 days earlier, a small nonprofit that needed social media management. $500 a month. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I reached out to Maya Chen. No, I reached out to Maya Thornton, my former boss from 5 years ago. She'd left to start her own consulting empire and had always told me I had potential. Clara, she said when we met for coffee, I always wondered what happened to you. I got married, I said simply. She studied my face, and now I'm building something. She smiled, then let me help. Within weeks, Maya had introduced me to 3 potential clients and taught me how to pitch with confidence. She became the mentor I didn't know I desperately needed. My life split into 2 versions. Daytime Clara made dinner, did laundry, and smiled when Evan talked about Sophie's brilliant ideas at work. She was quiet and unassuming. Nighttime Clara worked on her laptop after Evan fell asleep. She built websites, designed campaigns, and pitched to potential clients. She was hungry and focused. By month 3, Luna Strategies had 7 clients and was bringing in $3,000 monthly. I kept every penny in my separate account. Evan slept 2 feet away, completely unaware. When Evan said he had a conference in Portland, I knew he was lying. His company didn't have business in Portland, so I hired someone to follow him, a private investigator Maya recommended. The photos arrived 2 days later. Evan and Sophie at the Riverside Resort, checking in together, walking hand in hand by the water, kissing on their balcony. I looked at each photo once, saved them to my encrypted folder, and paid the investigator in cash. Then I made myself tea and returned to working on a client presentation. Emotions could wait, evidence couldn't. I met with Victoria Hamilton, the divorce attorney Maya recommended. She had sharp eyes and an even sharper reputation. I laid out my documentation, financial records, screenshots, photos, recordings, everything organized in labeled folders. Victoria leafed through them, her eyebrows rising higher with each page. You've built a case that's bulletproof, she said finally. When you're ready to file, he won't know what hit him. Not yet, I said. I need a few more months. She nodded slowly. You're smarter than most people who sit in that chair. Luna Strategies landed a major client in month 5, a women's wellness brand launching nationally. My campaign idea went viral on social media, generating millions of impressions. Business magazines started calling. A local news station wanted to interview the creative mind behind the campaign. I did the interviews under my maiden name, Clara Montgomery. Evan never watched local news. He was too busy with Sophie to notice his wife's face appearing on TV and in business publications. My company was becoming something real, something substantial, and he had no idea. The bomb dropped on a Sunday evening during dinner at his parents' house. Evan stood up, cleared his throat, and announced, Clara and I are separating. We've grown apart. His mother gasped. His father frowned. Everyone turned to look at me. I folded my napkin calmly. I understand, I said. I wish you both success. Both, his mother asked. Evan and Sophie, I clarified gently. She's waiting in the car, isn't she? Evan's face went pale. The table fell silent. I picked up my purse, thanked his parents for dinner, and walked out with my head high. Behind me, I heard his mother's voice rising in anger. The divorce proceedings began 2 weeks later. Evan walked into the courtroom with confidence, his expensive lawyer beside him. He actually smirked at me across the room. Then Victoria stood up and began presenting evidence. Photos of the affair. Financial records showing he'd used our joint savings to fund romantic getaways. Recordings of him disparaging my work while hiding assets. I watched the color drain from Evan's face as piece after piece of documentation appeared on the screen. His lawyer frantically whispered in his ear, shuffling papers. "Your Honor," Victoria said calmly, "we're requesting full restitution." The judge awarded me the house, purchased with my inheritance that Evan had convinced me to put in both names. She awarded me significant alimony based on his income. And most devastatingly for Evan, she awarded me 40% of his company shares. The joint funds Mrs. Montgomery contributed were used to establish and grow the defendant's business, the judge stated. She is entitled to her fair share. Evan's lawyer tried to object, but the financial trail was too clear. My lawyer had done her homework. As we left the courtroom, Evan grabbed my arm. "You planned this," he hissed. I looked at him calmly. "You laughed when I said I could build something. I learned from the best." The local business community was small. Word spread quickly. Tech entrepreneur loses company shares to ex-wife after affair with employee. Sophie's name appeared in the gossip too. The blogs called her the other woman who cost a startup its future. I didn't feed the rumor mill. I didn't have to. The truth was public record and people loved drama. Meanwhile, I focused on Luna Strategies, which was growing faster than I'd ever imagined. Karma, I learned, didn't need my help. 6 months after the divorce, I stood in my new office space, a bright, modern suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown. The walls displayed our client successes. My team of 5 talented marketers worked at sleek desks. I'd changed too. New haircut, sharper wardrobe, confident stride. I barely recognized the woman who'd sat silently through her husband's mockery a year ago. Luna Strategies specialized in digital marketing for women-led businesses. We weren't just profitable, we were making a difference. And I'd done it all without Evan. A year after our divorce, Luna Strategies received a request for proposal from a new tech startup looking for marketing services. I reviewed the application routinely until I saw the company name, Next Gen Solutions, Evan's new venture. I read through his proposal, full of buzzwords and half-formed ideas. Sophie's name appeared as creative director. I wrote a polite rejection email. "Thank you for your interest, but Luna Strategies is not the right fit for your needs at this time." I hit send without a second thought. Some doors, once closed, should stay that way. 2 months later, my assistant knocked on my office door. "There's a Sophie Bennett here for a job interview. Should I send her in?" I froze, my coffee cup halfway to my lips. "Sophie Bennett." "Yes, she applied for the junior marketing position last week." I pulled up her resume. It was her, Evan's Sophie. The application didn't mention her previous employment at his company. Interesting. "Send her in," I said, smoothing my jacket. Some opportunities were too perfect to refuse. Sophie walked into my office and stopped dead. Her face went completely white. "Mrs. Ms. Montgomery," she stammered. "I didn't realize." "Please sit down," I said calmly, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. "Let's talk about your career goals." She sank into the chair, hands trembling slightly. "I'm so sorry about everything. I was young and stupid, and "The past is the past," I interrupted gently. "I'm interested in whether you can do the job. Can you?" She blinked, surprised. Yes, I can. I'm good at creative strategy and—" "Then let's discuss your skills." I hired Sophie on a 3-month probation. Not out of cruelty, but because she was actually qualified and I needed someone with her skill set. Plus, I wanted to see if she'd learned anything from the disaster she'd helped create. The first week she was quiet and nervous, always asking permission, never making eye contact. But gradually she relaxed. She worked hard, arriving early, staying late, producing excellent work. By month 2, she'd become a valuable team member. She never mentioned Evan. Neither did I. We had an unspoken understanding. This was about work, nothing else. Professional forgiveness, I learned, was different from personal forgiveness. 6 months after hearing Sophie, Luna Strategies won 3 major industry awards. Sophie had led one of the winning campaigns, a brilliant social media strategy for a nonprofit. At the award ceremony, she approached me nervously. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for giving me a chance. I know I didn't deserve it." I looked at her thoughtfully. Everyone deserves a chance to be better than their worst mistake. Meanwhile, across the room, I glimpsed Evan near the back. His new company was struggling. Investors had pulled funding after the public scandal. He looked older, tired. He saw me, then looked away quickly. When I accepted the Entrepreneur of the Year award at the business gala, Sophie stood with my team in the front row, applauding genuinely. Evan sat somewhere in the back, unnoticed. The reporter asked if I'd ever imagined this success when I started. I smiled, thinking about that dinner party where Evan laughed at my dreams. "Someone once told me I couldn't even manage a bake sale," I said. "Now I run a multi-million-dollar company." The audience laughed appreciatively. "Sometimes," I continued, "the best thing someone can do is underestimate you. It makes proving them wrong so much sweeter." The crowd erupted in applause. Sophie was crying, but smiling too. Evan had already left. I'd built my empire from mockery and betrayal, and I'd done it by being exactly who they said I couldn't be: capable, strategic, and absolutely unstoppable. The laugh was finally mine.